Hi, I'm Jay, and this is my journey. So that was a little piece I looped together on the looper, just a few chords strung together, something to improvise over to demonstrate the kind of setup I have this week that I want to talk about. The first thing I want to review is the Peavey Raptor International Series 1. And this is from 1993, this guitar. I purchased it in 1993, I believe, for $149. Now, the story behind this Peavey Raptor is I went into a local music store. They've been long out of business for quite a few years, I think. I went in there. Never fails. There's always a helicopter going over my house. So I went into this music store And I was looking for a Fender. I was a Gibson guy. I'd played Fenders, I just didn't like them. I liked the fatter sound of the Gibsons. I liked the drive. When I wanted to clean them up, I just rolled the volume back a little bit. I have a 1969 Les Paul. I played that pretty much all the time on every gig. But I wanted to kind of expand my sound a little bit, and I thought a good way to do that is get a Fender, because I'd played a few Fenders. They have a more sparkly, crystalline, higher end sound to them. And I thought, well, you know, I'd like to try that. So I went in the music store and I grabbed a Strat, a Telecaster, and I was playing them, and I wasn't getting where I wanted to be. First of all, they all had blonde necks, and they had some kind of backward radius on the neck right here. It was kind of slick, and I didn't like it, and didn't feel right under my fingers. Doing note bends, it didn't feel right. So I saw this one hanging on the wall, this Peavey Raptor. I thought it was a Strat at first when I looked at it, because it does look sort of like a Strat. And I said to the clerk, I said, what about that one? He goes, oh, that's not a Fender. He said, that's a Peavey. That's a really cheap guitar. He says, I don't think you'll like it. He said, it's a beginner guitar. It's not, you know. And I said, well, let me just try it. So I grabbed it, and I didn't even know what the price was on it yet. I mean, the Strats I were looking at were all $700 or $800. They were up there. I grabbed it and I plugged it in, and the first thing I noticed was this rosewood neck, which I really liked, the rosewood neck, and it was fairly flat radius on it. I found it pretty easy to play. And then the sound, the out of phase switch, which is right, it has a 5-way switch on it. You could stop it in the, now I think the new Fenders and Strats and things have the same thing, but they have a position in between the pickups that gets it out of phase, kind of puts both pickups together. And I really liked that. With the old Strats, as I remember, you used to have to toggle the switch to get it to just right in between, and so it would stay. And if you did it a lot, they would get loose or worn out, and it wouldn't stay in that position, and you couldn't get that out of phase type sound. Well, this one actually has stops that they made it intended, because they found out after years that Strat players used to like to do that with the switch. I think that all the newer Strats have the 5-way switch in them too. Has 2 tone controls, one for the neck pickup, one for the bridge pickup. You've got 1 volume control for everything. Pickups are single coil, and they're not bad. I've heard people say they're not that good, but I think it sounds even better than the Strats I was playing at the time. It has a rosewood neck, the 3 single coil pickups. It has a bolt-on neck. You see that on the back there. Has the Fender Strat style type of bridge with the whammy bar. Now, I have customized this guitar, and while I was playing, one of the things I'm also going to review today is the Roland GR30 guitar synthesizer, which is, again, it's an older piece of machinery. I mean, I bought that in the mid-90s as well, and that was considered really state-of-the-art at the time. Since then, Roland has made a couple of different generations of the same technology, better, and it's always better and bigger. But you heard me playing some different sounds on that little loop that I was playing, and on the loop itself, when I recorded it, I used you know, a bass sound and a piano sound and a string pad and things like that. The way I did that was, this was an inexpensive guitar, so I didn't mind. I didn't think I was doing any harm to it by modifying it or doing anything to it. So right here you can see there's a little black bar right there. Now that is a controller for the synthesizer. And what I had to do to make this work, and I played gig after gig after gig with that synthesizer in a lot of jazz bands and other bands where we needed other instrumentation, or didn't have a keyboard player and wanted a nice string pad behind things, or an organ sound or something, anything. I took the whammy bar bridge and locked it down, screwed it all down tight so it doesn't move, adjusted the action on it and everything, and then installed with drilled some holes and actually installed the controller, the synthesizer controller pickup on there. And then it goes through the GR30. And the configuration I have running today is the guitar comes out of this MIDI cable here, and it transmits the guitar signal as well as the signal from the controller pickup into the GR30. And I have a switch here that I can do just guitar, or I can do just the GR30. And then I run the guitar signal out into my Boss GT-1 effects processor, and then it runs out of the effects processor back into the GR30. The signal from the GR30, left and right stereo signal, goes into the Boss Rc30 Looper. And you can see in this picture, I know it looks like a lot of wires, a lot of setup there, but it works well for the demonstration that I'm doing right now. Normally I wouldn't have that looper on there unless I was doing something by myself, but I play with other musicians, and I just use the processor and the GR30 for my guitar when I'm working with other musicians. A little quick demonstration. Right now I've got it on the guitar. Well, first I'll just play that looper and you can listen to some of the patches I was using on it, and then I'll go through them. Here, we'll just play it. What I was doing there, the guitar, first loop I came through with the guitar was just a clean, and then the second time round I went into a bass, and it's like a fretless bass kind of sound. Reminds me. Anyway, but it's a fretless bass sound. And then I went into a keyboard, has a string pad in it in the background. So it has a lot of really cool sounds. You can combine it with the guitar too. For example, now there's like a classical guitar with string patch in the background. But if I add the regular guitar to it too, I can do I can turn the guitar up here. Which is kind of cool. You can do so you can have pads, string pads behind the guitar. The sun is coming in the window now all of a sudden. Okay, so those are some of the sounds I used to do the loop I had in there. I'll demonstrate some of the other solo sounds I had. We can go back to, this was the harmonica sound I was using, I think. Anyway, so it's really cool. There is something like 340 different patches on here that are pre-programmed, and then you can manipulate those and change them a little bit. There's a sequencer on it. I can split strings. I can have two strings being playing a bass of some sort, and just guitar on the top, or have a string pad on the top and bass on the bottom. I can split it up a lot of different ways. It's a very useful tool. One of the things that I would caution guitarists out there, this is not a shredder type thing. You've got to interpret the instrument that you're emulating on here. There's a, let's see here, we got the doo-doos. Where are those? I think right here. That's a good patch to have with your guitar. If you're gonna So it's a lot of fun. It's an awful lot of fun to play with. But you can't do the shredding type stuff. For example, let me put a saxophone patch on here. So we've got a patch for a sax where we would be doing right? So you're not going to be doing something like it doesn't track. So you'd have to put it on, I had it on guitar, but with the sax it doesn't, you can hardly even hear it. If I put it on the guitar, you can hear it through the blues guitar there going, or put it on a heavy metal type riff, like, where the kids do all that pull-offs and the shredding and the sweeping and all of that. That lends itself to the guitar only. It really doesn't track. This is kind of limited as far as it's milliseconds off from your playing, so it doesn't track everything always the way you think it would. If you want to do a saxophone, you have to think if you touch it lightly, it's going to have a breathier. Then it has that kind of distorted reed sound as you play it and pluck it harder and play it louder. So you kind of have to have a feel for the type of instrument that you're emulating when you do it. As far as my Boss GT-1 effects processor, I talked about that in another video, the last video when I did my song Running Man, and I used it a lot for the guitar tracks there. It's a very versatile small foot pedal. It's awesome, and again, unlimited sounds. You got stereo, chorus, reverbs, different kinds of reverbs, amp modulations. You can have amp stacks, you can have just a little bit of crunch, you can have a tweed amp type emulate the sound of that. It's just awesome to work with, and it's inexpensive. I think they're a couple $100. So, and the Rc30 Looper, again, very powerful tool for solo acts that are using acoustic guitar. I've done some stuff with acoustic guitar where you're doing, and you can put a microphone through it too. So if you're doing your chorus of a song or whatever, and you want to build a vocal harmony on top, you can do that, or something that loops, that goes back and forth on certain songs. There's a guy that goes to an open mic night and does pop songs with it, and he's really great. He really knows how to use it well. I haven't done a lot of stuff with that. I just put this together here in just a few minutes by just playing this chord pattern, and just something that I could solo over. Anyways, so I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a gear review on some of that stuff. Like I said, I love this kind of configuration. When I used to play with a group, I still remember one of the experiences was back in the 90s, late 90s, mid to late 90s. I was working with a fusion, jazz fusion type band, and I would be up on the stage, and we had a flautist that was like the front person for the group. And I would use the saxophone setting or trumpet setting. Sound has a trumpet on there too. I would play a solo, and I'd look down at the audience. We'd be up on stage, and I could see the front row, because usually the lights, you can't see much past the front row. I could see the front row, and I could see the people's faces looking around the stage trying to find the saxophone or the horn player or whatever. And when they realized it was me doing it on the guitar, there was this, like, I don't know, they'd get a big smile on their face and a little bit of a surprise, and they'd be elbowing the people next to them and pointing at me, saying, "Look, he's doing that with the guitar, he's doing that with the guitar." So that was a lot of fun for me, pulling that off. If you were creative and writing music and recording music, this is a great tool to have if you're a guitarist. You have parts in your head that you want to play and you want to put down for demos or recording. It works really well. I've used this on quite a few recordings. Maybe someday I'll visit those with you on the channel. But anyway, that's it for now. I just wanted to kind of go through this little configuration and show it to you. Share some of these things that I do. And like I said, Roland's come out with a lot better versions of this stuff than what I have. This equipment's really old. It's archaic compared to what they have on the market now. They make guitars with these special pickups in them. Godin makes some, and I'm not sure who else makes them, but you can get these and mount them, and the tracking's better, the sounds are more modern, they have alternate tunings you can program into some of them. It's pretty awesome. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you found this somewhat entertaining and somewhat informational. Have a great day. Have a great week.
My life has just begun. No matter where we are.